Hi, lovers. It's Rich McLean from Killim.info. This is a message to parliamentarians, everyone in public office, and the public. A conspiracy to pervert the cause of justice has occurred, and I'm owed multi-millions of dollars in detriment. Here's why that matters. The video has been sent today or tomorrow on the 15th of July 2022 to every Australian parliamentarian. Australian parliamentarian, as a public official, is within their remit to act within the Charter of Human Rights of people with a disability, of which I identify. Okay. Have you ever been set up to fail by some powerful kingpins and political stakeholders? I have. Have some compassion for me. I live in poverty and I've suffered a fatal injury in a public hospital that was self-induced, the result of systemic government oppression over very many years. That was the causation of the suicide attempt, from which I was revived, having no observable pulse, and saved from certain death. And it was the systemic government oppression that underpinned it by powerful key stakeholders, as demonstrated below. It's the same oppression exploiting my vulnerabilities that's occurring 18 months after I survived certain death, and currently the government is rendering me an absolute homeless, penniless vagrant. I have no rights, no value, no dignity, and the whole world's been convinced that I'm a madman. But if that's a little bit column A and column B, I've also got a doctorate. Yeah. Wait till you listen to this. This has been sent to every politician in the land now, and as a politician, you are bound to act within the Charter of Human Rights for a person with a disability that was ratified by the government in 2008. This includes that you acknowledge that Dr. McLean, IME, has no lawyer or advocate and is a failed whistleblower at ASIC, APRA and the Commonwealth Ombudsman, and additionally that the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet refused my freedom of information after first acknowledging that there are thousands of matches. Everyone who sees this is now called to action via necessity, and it's within every politician's remit to assist me and counterattack this brutal injustice, which had pretty much an end, or a very near end, in my tragic suicide attempt deemed fatal. You need to attack this with the same passion in which it was maliciously dealt to me, in a way that really systemically oppressed me in such faceless and gutless ways. I am a political prisoner and a homeless vagrant. I'm at immediate risk of retribution from government and underworld figures. There's hope though. Listen, the detriment owed to me is in the multi-millions of dollars. But I'm giving it to you, the marginalised and the oppressed, and a voice for the voiceless, and for the colourful, the queer, and the short, the ones with one leg, the light seekers, the truth seekers, the peacekeepers. I'm not going to give it to the cowards. I'm going to absolutely exploit this oppression for the money that I'm legally owed, and then I'm going to keep as much for myself as I can just to live a basic life with my dog, and then I'm giving the rest to the charities. In a former life, I was a formerly celebrated national author and human rights awarded advocate. I've spoken at local, state, national and international audiences, including in Parliament House, from Sydney, Melbourne, Montreal to Dubbo. I attacked stigma and prejudice with an unwavering sense of justice and equity and equality. My track record proves this altruism from a place of the heart, bravely shared my knowledge and private experiences for the benefit of marginalised people and voiceless people everywhere. And I don't need much to live. And what's going to fucking stop me from doing that? Nothing. The redaction of my freedom of information from the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet was a crystallization at the apex of my oppression from the highest levels, and it is legitimately demonstrated in this way. They expressed that they had data matched with them thousands of times, and then in the most obvious, obnoxious of ways, and gaslighting, denied him access. It's called freedom of information for a reason. I've got no criminal record. The Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet, the Tax Office, APRA, the Australian Human Rights Commission, AFCA, they've all banned me. Every one of them acts with a congruence to delay, defer, deny, and reject any transformation of prosperity to my person. They're all in it together. This isn't negotiable anymore. I'm a bit of a spirit monkey and an earth monkey, but I'm owed these multi-millions of dollars of detriment, and I want to get it. And I don't even want it for me. It's just because the opposite of that is me dying. Because I have no food and I'm squatting. This multi-millions of dollars of detriment, or if you support me and invest in it, will grant me my basic human dignity that is withheld from me systemically and is exploited every single person in my life, family, friends, everyone, and it's an investment in human worth, and I'm going to be a transformational expert. I'm going to turn that multi-millions of dollars in detriment, and I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to give it to the marginalised and the voiceless, and who can stop me? This government is actually aiding and abetting my death via proxy attack of government agencies and bodies and people in positions of conceited power, privilege, and reputations to protect. They do it faceless, they do it nameless, and they're cowards, apart from a few who I can name. And I go on to name them. Why not? First of all, I'm an employee for the purposes of the SRC Act. It's been 18 months overdue workers' compensation for my role as a registered NDIS provider and person who is receivable for a superannuation. It's a job I loved, but complex reasons to leave, including workplace injury and the movement to destroy me. The NDIS Enterprise Agreement reveals I was due to be paid superannuation, but wasn't, and owed a TPD claim within that scheme. That's overdue. Bring it on. My former partner is an ASIO agent. His name's Stefan, or Stefanos Isonides. He's my former husband-to-be of over 5 years. Hi, Steve. Who owes me to equitable and legal settlement for our time together, in which I was exploited, really, financially, sexually, and emotionally, when they lived together. And it was ongoing when I tried to be equitable and recoup the detriment from this time and this shocking little black part in my history. But I'm pretty chipper now. And hi, Steve. I've noticed that every time I email your lawyer about the detriment you owe me and, the criminal activity you're involved in, that I end up in the High Court. Isn't that a coincidence? The Australian Human Rights Commission free-kicked over $1 million case to a super company who was discriminatory against me, and they were supposed to be an impartial body. That doesn't sound like cricket, does it? G'day, Tim Goss and Peter Fisher from AFCA, the Australian Financial Complaints Authority. Lost probably about $1 to $2 million in detriment there. Why? Because they were delaying, deferring, denying the obvious and litigated thing. They have to come to my determinations in a 4-week period. However, it took up to over a year and a half. And this, together with HCF and Australian Human Rights Commission, being framed out of my work, failing 2 VOCAT cases, and being oppressed by my former partner and others in government, including Dr. Whitaker and his lawyer, Mr. Ball of Ball and Partners, who actually informs government policy and sits on the Australian Legal Bar and informs the Ombudsman, was partly pivotal in destroying my possibility of any justice for a legitimate malpractice claim. And I have a clean criminal record. The AAT, that led to the elongation of my exploitation by the federal government and my work cover case, which is still outstanding to this day. But they are waiting, delaying, denying, deferring until I die. But I won't, because I'm a legend. And if I do, there'll be anger. Whistleblower rights. I'm a rejected whistleblower, and I've got that status at IBAC, at ASIC, at APRA, and the Commonwealth Ombudsman. And that's literally a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. This will be proven in the High Court if need be. In the meantime, your investments are welcomed because ultimately they can't stop me. They can't robbed me of sentience, or I already have been, literally by being killed, and they can't stop me from speaking. Take it. Go on. I dare you. If you help me, it's going to be such a good win for the marginalised. How funny. I get locked up for delusions of persecution that are absolutely damn real. In actual fact, I died in Werribee Mercy Hospital, and now I'm under the government remit to accept medication, needle in the arse, and for delusions of persecution that are absolutely systemic, fundamentally across this government, and are absolutely real. This is called malpractice. Yeah, it's pretty obvious to see a conspiracy to pervert the course of justice was and is happening in regards to Dr. Rich McLean. And victimisation is against the law. It's absolutely evident, and I will prove it in the High Court. It's a violation of human rights, and state-sanctioned murder has already occurred in the fatal injury that I suffered in Werribee Mercy Hospital, and the cover-up of that murder of me, who has a clean criminal record. I'm absolutely aware of this sponsored demise underpinned by powerful key kingpins, and which exploits stigma and shame that's actually not mine. It's all yours. And the key stakeholders that underpinned my persecution and my own murder and its cover-up. The shame's not mine. It's actually not mine to have. I'm actually pretty chipper. I don't need much. I have sentience, value, worth, but that is always redacted from me, from personal relationships to systemic government ones. In actual fact, I'm being witnessed 18 months after I have survived a fatality to be rejected by that service, and the government has willfully and knowingly, consciously, maliciously watched me suffer, first on JobSeeker when I was already on sick leave, and then the DSP, which is not even $1,400 a month, and my rent alone's $1,600 a month. 18 whole months of that. That's for a former human rights awarded, celebrated public speaker who's spoken in Parliament, to Montreal, to Dubbo, to Warrnambool, and a former illustrator for The Age and the Herald Sun. I've been on all the TV and radio stations. I'm actually quite a cool guy. It's within my remit as a NDIS provider to actually legislatively report abuse and neglect. And I must do that. And this is what I'm doing. This is financial abuse, but it's also human rights abuse. I've been exploited. I've been damned. I've been locked up, incarcerated. I've been locked away. I've been shunned. I've been exploited, victimised, vilified. I've been beaten up in that hospital. I've suffered the injustice of having my human dignity taken away to such a degree it robbed me of the human will to live. After I survived, by accident, it has now literally still persevered in order to aid and abet my death. And that's why killing.info exists, and why I'm still chipper, and I'm fighting this, and I intend to give the multi-million dollars in detriment to the underdog, because I am one.